Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the basics of working the cameras that I have. I happen to have two of the major brands that most photographers use, Nikon and Canon. So before you can use the camera and take a picture, you're going to have to take off the lens cap. So you're going to squeeze the two little spring-loaded sides to pull off the cap. Make sure you don't lose it, and never ever ever touch the lens. It can ruin it. Then of course you need to turn the camera on the Nikon. You're just going to switch it to the on position here. Same thing Canon, switch it to the on position there, and you see it lights up and gives you some settings on the top of the Nikon. This is just the display for what settings you've chosen. Over here on the left of the Nikon, you've got what camera mode you want to be in. Auto, when you're just getting started, is a great option because it calculates everything for you. But manual, the M, is what you'll want to be on if you want to create your own settings, and we'll get into that later. On the Canon, the little green square is the auto, and then again, turn it to, M if you want to do manual. If you have it set to auto and you go to take a picture, when you hold down that button halfway, it will automatically pop up the flash, and it will do this for both cameras, again, as long as you're on the auto setting. If you are on the manual setting and you decide you need to use flash, you can go over on the left side of each of the cameras, and there's like a little lightning bolt with an arrow. You just press that and it'll pop up the flash. Oops, see, I had to change mine to manual for it to work. And then if you don't need it, you just push it back down. But it's pretty much in the same location on both cameras. So let's say you're ready to take a picture. You're going to put your eye up to the camera hole right here, and here's what you're going to see on the Nikon camera. You hold down the button halfway. Don't push all the way down. Halfway is going to get it to autofocus, and you can tell what it's focusing on by where the square is. So that'll let you know what's going to be in focus on your photo. Similar to the Nikon, on the Canon, if you go, you're going to hold down the button halfway, and a little bit harder to see here. I'll zoom in a second, but it's got a focus with little red dots. So it has black dots up all the time, and the red dots show where it's focusing. To zoom in, you're going to twist the actual lens right in the middle there. You can see it kind of has little grippies for your fingers. As long as you have a zoom lens on, which both of these currently have a zoom lens, then you can zoom in a little bit or a lot, depending on how big it is. Whenever you go to take a picture, again, you're going to hold down the button halfway, focus on what you want, and then all the way down once you've let it focus on your subject or whatever it is you want to focus on. And then you will see that after you take the picture, it's going to pop up on the screen on the back, only for a few seconds. If you want to go back and look at what you've taken pictures of, you can hit that little triangle play button at the top left of the Nikon, and then scroll left and right with those buttons. You've got, again, a little play button on the Canon. Sorry, I'm filming one-handed, that's why it's a little shaky. The Canon has the play button at the bottom right of the little screen there, display screen, and then you can again press left and right to go through the pictures you've taken. I don't recommend doing this a lot when you're in the middle of taking pictures because it can kill your camera battery, and you don't want your battery to run out of juice in the middle of a photo shoot. Let's take a look at the actual settings on the Nikon first. So here's your display for the settings. Top left has the battery, then you have the shutter speed, and then the aperture, the f-stop. At the bottom is where you will see ISO in the future, but for now, let's look at your f-stop, your aperture. If you turn that wheel in front of the on-off button, you can see that the settings are going up or down depending which direction you turn it. Down here where my thumb is the wheel to adjust the shutter speed. So you can see it just is represented in whole numbers there, not in fractions like you see on some other cameras. Then lastly, for ISO, you have to hold down this button that says ISO and turn the wheel at the same time to adjust the ISO on the screen. So you can see it pops up there at the bottom. And I apologize, again, I'm filming with one hand and trying to do the camera with the other, so it takes me a little bit to get this going. But as I back up there, you can see the ISO is changing when I turn that wheel. For the Canon, it has the display screen with your settings on the back here. And as you can see, it has the shutter speed and fraction, and then the aperture on the right. This wheel up top here is what's going to change it, and then there's also the ISO button up there. So for the shutter speed, just turn the wheel. For the aperture, you're going to press that top button to the right, top right of the screen. And then for ISO, you touch or you hold down the ISO button and turn the wheel at the same time, or use the up-down arrows to make your selection. Just a few last things. If you need to replace or take out the SD card, it has a little spring-loaded thing on the right side for most cameras, and a spring-loaded insert and exit thing for the SD card, and the little golden pieces go to the back on the Nikon. I have the SD cards labeled which camera they go in, so they don't get messed up with the formatting, because I had that issue last year. So you can see they're both spring-loaded, and you close them back up when you're done. If you flip the cameras over, you can open up the bottom for the battery if you ever need to charge the battery. It has a little thing blocking the battery from coming out. Again, spring-loaded. You just pull it back, take it out, or put it back in. When you're done taking pictures, always remember to put the cap back on. That way it doesn't get scratched. And turn off the camera so you don't kill the battery. But I'd rather you kill the battery than scratch the lens, because they are super expensive. So just always remember to cover those back up and be mindful of them. Let me know if you have any questions.